Gemini 2.5 Pro is our most intelligent model ever.
Today, finally, we're launching GPT-5.
Announced the launch of Amazon Nova.
Gemini enables Project Astra.
GPT-5 is the beginning of a second computing revolution.
In 2025, building out this open agentic web at scale.
So I've spent the last couple of years working in AI and automation. I've done enterprise RevOps and I've consulted for hundreds of businesses and spoken to hundreds more business owners. The thing I hear again and again is I feel overwhelmed by AI. And that's a fair enough response to the pace of advancement that we're seeing at the moment. Every week it seems like there's a new startup, a new consultant, or a new influencer pushing their version of AI for your business. The problem is there's just way too much noise and you're probably already experiencing the decision fatigue that comes with being bombarded with these different options every day on LinkedIn and YouTube and by your boss at work. That's why I wanted to make this video. It's an actionable roadmap that will take you from AI novice to AI native organization in 4 steps. We cover everything from how to give your employees compliant access to AI, all the way to which agents you should be deploying in your business first, and not the ones that you see on LinkedIn or TikTok that are getting millions and millions of views. These are agents that actually drive value within your business. All right, let's get into it. Step 1 on the roadmap is AI access. That means giving your employees safe and compliant access to the base level models and tools that they're probably already using, but in a compliant way for your organization. This sounds obvious, and it is, but it's a massive quick win that will instantly start yielding results for your organization. Because your team is already using AI. They're already experimenting and optimizing their daily workflows with the consumer tools available. In fact, I'm actually almost certain that your employees are already using AI in their daily workflows. MIT recently found that 90% of workers are using an LLM on a regular basis, but only 40% of organizations had purchased an enterprise or a team subscription. That gap is called shadow AI. It's the private tools, subscriptions, maybe even free tools that your team are using every day to enhance their workflows, but it's outside of your organizational remit, which is a problem because this poses a massive compliance risk for your organization. When your team are using their own LLMs, you have zero control or visibility about what they're doing or what's happening, especially over what data is being shared. If you're in this situation, your number one priority going into 2026 is getting your employees off of their own subscriptions and onto a team plan, whether that's ChatGPT Enterprise or Teams or something else. Buying a team plan is a good place to start because it keeps everything under your control, but it can be expensive. A Teams plan for ChatGPT runs at $30 per user per month, and Enterprise even more than that. If you want to avoid the per user pricing of these Teams and Enterprise plans, or you're in a compliance heavy industry like legal, healthcare, or education, then you need to go one level deeper when it comes to your AI access for your team. With private AI, you can very easily get all the same controls as an enterprise or Teams level subscription for your users with an open source front end and a BYO API key. This means that you don't have to pay that per user pricing and you can pay for tokens as you go. It's a little bit cheaper in the long run, especially if you have a really large team. Those per user subscriptions can really add up as time goes on. So it's a good option for those that are looking to avoid that, or if you're in a really compliance focused business where you need to keep absolute control over your data, where it's stored and where the models are running. If you want to go deeper into private AI, I'll link a video somewhere around here that will give you a step-by-step guide as to how we set these up for our clients and what's involved. By the way, if you're enjoying this video and you want to see more content like this, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks. So now that you have everyone on your team using your company ChatGPT account, you can expect to see some heavy increases in ROI. Obviously, the team are already using their own private subscription models, most likely, but now that they're on your subscription, they'll have access to higher usage rates and better models. So that's why I say it's one of the quickest and easiest wins you can make, because that MIT study I was talking about earlier actually mentioned that employees are far more likely to get efficiency gains out of using these base level models than something like an expensive enterprise tool anyway. If we can enable everyone on the team to use these tools, in a compliant way, then that is the first step to becoming AI native in 2026. Next up is step 2, which is integrating your software. If you don't know what integration is, that means having all of your software tools like your CRM, your accounting, your billing, your payroll, your HR software talk to each other seamlessly, where data is flowing from one system into another. This isn't automation, it's more removing data from silos and ensuring you have a source of truth. That's because AI and agents are only as good as the data that you can provide it. So if your systems are siloed and they're not talking to each other, and even if the data is out of date, then spending thousands of dollars on an AI agent or an AI initiative right now is a complete waste of money. So the first step in actually integrating your software tools is picking a source of truth for your data. And that source of truth might be different depending on what data we're talking about. If we're talking about customer data, that might be the CRM. If we're talking about applicant data, that might be your applicant tracking system or ATS. Or if you're talking about your employee data, that might be your HR software. Once you have your source of truth, you can start to design integrations for data flow. For example, you probably want your customer data, whose source of truth is the CRM, to flow into your support tool. So your support agents have up-to-date information about the customer's current subscription, what products they've bought from you, all that stuff. Because we've selected the CRM as the source of truth, that means that any data updates in the CRM override the data in Zendesk. But the source of truth for your employee data might be different. That might be your HR software, which would flow into your payroll and accounting software, whatever you wanted to set up. Luckily, these days, it has literally never been easier to set up these integrations. If you're using a very popular CRM like HubSpot or Salesforce, they have marketplaces full of pre-built integrations that you can just switch on to get your data talking to whatever systems you need. If you use custom tools, but these integrations don't exist natively in the marketplace, then you can build something custom using an API integration. An API is how software tools talk to each other in the back end. And you can set up something pretty easily in Zapier or Make or N8N. So if you have an experiment with that, if you're using an older software, something that's more than 10 or 15 years old, they may not have an API, and that can get a little bit tricky, but there still are options. So just because you're using an older legacy software doesn't mean there aren't options. As I mentioned before, the reason we want to integrate our software tools is because we need our data flowing between our systems, and we need to remove data silos. If we're going to become AI native in 2026, we need to ensure that our data infrastructure and data layer is there. You can take this a step further, and once you've integrated your software, put in a data lake or a data warehouse for a centralized store for your accounting, for your customer records, your sales metrics, marketing metrics, whatever you need, so that you can start to build reports and dashboards off the back of that data warehouse. But for an AI deployment, the bare minimum is that the tools are at least talking to each other. Once you've got your systems integrated, the next step is automating deterministic workflows. The AI hype train has made so many more people realize what's possible with automation, but these tools have been around for years. I remember when I first started working in automation in 2021, we were building with Zapier, and at the time it was very little known, but now I have so many people coming to me saying, can we automate this with AI? But in reality, for a lot of these implementations, you don't need AI, and you probably don't even want it. That's because the highest ROI automations in your business are most likely deterministic. They don't need AI enabled. I'd actually argue that the majority of your workflows should be handled by traditional workflow automation at the moment. Here's the framework that I apply. 60% deterministic workflows. These are your input in, input out deterministic workflows. For the same input, you're expecting the same result every single time. A couple examples would be onboarding, proposal generation, and invoicing. These are the types of processes that you don't want to implement AI into because it's not needed, and it just adds extra complexity and cost. So that's the first 60% of workflows. The next 30% should be AI workflows. These are processes where AI is actually going to add genuine value. That's through reasoning, content generation, or intelligent routing. The key here is not to apply AI to everything. It's to apply AI where it makes sense. So that's why only 30% of the workflows in a business should have an AI element to them. The last 10%, those are the manual workflows. Those are things that are too custom, too non-repeatable to have any type of automation. Because the one thing that I've learned during my career is that there is definitely a point where you can reach over-automation. Sometimes over-automation is worse than no automation. A lot of people are surprised by this, but most of the value in AI for businesses is actually in these repeatable workflow automations, which don't even have AI in them at all. That's because businesses are bogged down by these repetitive, time-intensive processes that are ripe for automation. That looks like when a new customer signs up, that we create them automatically in the CRM, we send them out a contract, and when that contract's completed, we update their status in the CRM. These are things that don't need AI, they're 100% deterministic, but they have real time savings and real ROI for a business. Especially as you scale, taking these processes away from humans and automating them gives you the ability to execute and do more with less resources. Tools like Zapier, Make, or N8N are perfect for this. They're very easy to pick up and have a try yourself and see what you can create. Playing around with it at least proves to yourself and the business that, hey, this is possible and potentially worth more investment down the track. You're probably surprised that this AI roadmap video is focusing so much on non-AI topics like giving people compliant access, integration of systems, and automating workflows. And that's because what the AI influencers aren't telling you is that AI adds complexity and cost. And if your business isn't ready for it, then you're not going to get any value from it. The reason why workflow automation is so powerful is because the majority of businesses want predictability in their workflows. They want an input in, input out situation where they can expect the same result to happen 1,000 times over with no variations. That's where workflow automation is honestly king. So before you start building agents and before you start buying AI tools, you first need to nail down your internal processes. So that's making sure that your systems are connected, making sure that your deterministic workflows are documented and automated. You need to get the predictable stuff running smoothly so that we can then find opportunities and leverage AI where it makes sense. Trust me, you will thank yourself later by doing these really boring, unsexy steps first. Deploying AI without these first in place often leads to failed project and wasted investment. Now that we have our systems connected and our workflows automated, we can actually start deploying agents. That's what you came to the video for, how to become AI native in 2026. So here we go. All right, so now we're gonna get to the good stuff. That's step 4, AI agents and where to deploy them for the highest ROI and value to your business. Once you've got steps 1 to 3 sorted, your systems are connected, your deterministic workflows are automated, and your team has access to AI, then you can start to think about which verticals in your business need AI agents. Just a quick recap on an AI agent. An AI agent is an LLM, so something like ChatGPT or Claude, that has the ability to interact with its environment. And they interact using tools. So we can give an agent the ability to search the web. We can give an agent an ability to look up contacts in your CRM. Agents are different from workflow automation because agents are non-deterministic, meaning that for a given input, you may receive a different output with an AI agent as opposed to a workflow automation where input in equals input out every single time. But that makes them really powerful for the right opportunities because they're able to handle complex reasoning tasks where the inputs are non-standard. That makes them super versatile, and it also means that people are tempted to throw AI agents at absolutely everything, and trust me, that is the exact opposite of what you want to do if you want to be successful with AI in 2026. When deploying AI agents, you need to be strategic in your thinking. We need to be identifying the verticals that actually have genuine opportunity for AI agents rather than just throwing them at everything. That same MIT report that I mentioned earlier actually found that 95% of AI projects will fail. And if you want a complete breakdown of their findings and a step-by-step guide on how to actually run an AI project that will succeed, I'll link that here as well. So the question you're probably asking yourself now is, okay, where should I actually be deploying these AI agents? I've seen 4 categories of AI agents that are actually delivering value. That's knowledge agents, document processing, data enrichment, or customer service agents. Let's start with knowledge agents. Knowledge agents use RAG, or retrieval augmented generation, which allows them to pull information from a data source, like a database, your CRM, your emails, Slack, and use that information to inform an answer to a question. So the problem this solves for many businesses is that they have segmented data across their business. They have knowledge tied up in Slack messages, in emails, and in people's heads. There are questions about policy, customers, and they just want a singular place where their employees can go to ask questions and get accurate answers. So that feeds into this idea of a horizontal data layer, which is why step 2 in this process is integrating your systems to make sure that your data is available for an agent like this to pull information from. When someone needs information, they either spend 30 minutes looking for it, bug a colleague who's actually trying to get work done, or in the worst case, guess, and get it wrong. A knowledge agent fixes this by giving your team instant access to your company's information across data sources. And the best part is they can ask questions through natural language. They can talk to this agent as they would their colleague or their boss. Your support team can ask, what's our refund policy for enterprise customers? Or your internal team can ask questions about your annual leave policy. Your customer success team can get an instant update on a customer's health and status by just asking an AI knowledge agent rather than searching around in 5 different systems to try and figure it out. The ROI here is immediate because you're reducing the amount of time your team spends searching for information, you're increasing the accuracy of that information, and you're letting your senior people get back to actually delivering value instead of answering these questions again and again. Next up is document processing. This is a massive time suck for many organizations. Think about incoming invoices. Every time you receive one, you have to open the email, download the PDF, figure out who it's coming from, figure out what they're invoicing you for, transcribe all of that information into your system. It's the exact same process that happens time and time again. An AI agent can handle all of this. It reads the invoice, extracts all the relevant data, and creates the record in your system. As another example, take RFPs or request for proposals. It can be a 50-sheet Excel file asking questions about your capabilities, your policies, your products, all of it. It takes a really long time to fill out. An AI agent can take this file, read it, use a knowledge agent to figure out an answer for a question, and then merge that back into the file automatically. Sure, it isn't perfect and it definitely requires human review, but at least is a first pass approach that saves a bunch of time for your solutions team. Number 3 is data enrichment. This is one of my favorite applications for AI agents at the moment because the ROI is insane and honestly, it's just pretty cool. Say you've got thousands of records in your CRM for contacts in companies, but they're a few years old, they might be out of date. A lot of them are missing some key information that you need as part of your sales process. You don't know their company size, you don't really know their industry, things like that. The traditional solution to this problem is going out and buying a data enrichment tool, whether that's Lusher, ZoomInfo, Clay, something like that, plugging that into your CRM and paying a per record cost to enrich that data. That can be really, really expensive. Here's the better way using AI agents. Using a data enrichment agent enabled with agentic web search and scraping, the agent takes a partial record, maybe you just got the company name and the domain. It will then go out and find their website, scrape their website for any information, find LinkedIn, key contacts, and add it all back into your CRM so you have a fully enriched record. Now, you don't have to build something like this custom, and honestly, I probably recommend you don't. There are really great off-the-shelf solutions for this now. HubSpot has a good one that's worth looking into. The key with back office agents is that they operate in the background, handling tedious, repetitive work that still requires reasoning that nobody wants to do anyway. According to MIT, these are actually the highest impact agents that you can implement because they're the ones that are actually driving value. And of course, they're not perfect. And honestly, they don't need to be. They just need to handle the bulk cases and know when to escalate to a human when they can't figure something out. The 4th high impact use case is customer service agents. This is the most talked about application and it's for a good reason. If your support team is drowning in tickets, a lot of them are repetitive. They're the same questions coming in again and again and again. You can use a customer service agent to triage these tickets, respond to the tier 1 tickets, which are your repetitive questions, and then escalate as needed to a human. These types of queries are perfect for AI agents because they're repeatable, they follow well-documented patterns. You probably have really good documentation for them already. So we can plug that information into your AI agent for customer service and have them handle a lot of these low-level tickets without ever involving a human. And when they do need to involve a human, automatically escalate that to the relevant support queue. This is actually a win-win for your support team as well because your support team get to spend more time on the higher impact and more complicated tickets while your customers get faster responses for their low impact tickets. So I've just given you 4 really high impact examples of where I'm seeing AI agents drive real value in organizations at the moment, and you're probably wondering, where do I start? Which one should I choose? The answer to that question really depends on where your business is feeling the most pain at the moment. The truth is that there's no off-the-shelf solution for AI that's going to fit your business perfectly. The key is to pick one vertical, build it out properly, and then expand from there. By picking one high-value use case, nailing it, you can then build momentum to go into the next project and the next project. And eventually you can have an army of AI agents within really high impact verticals throughout your business. By building momentum, you're able to continue to develop and move closer to becoming AI native in 2026. Look, I'm not going to lie to you, implementing AI properly takes time and investment. But if you follow this roadmap, you will have avoided some of the really common pitfalls that I see companies making every single day. You'll have a solid foundation, you'll have a compliant AI solution, you'll have clean data, and you'll be set up to actually start seeing ROI from AI in 2026 without chasing any hype. So to recap, step 1, get all of your team off of shadow AI and using a compliant solution. Step 2, integrate your systems and data. Step 3, automate your deterministic workflows. And step 4, pick narrow, high-value verticals for AI agents. It's not sexy, and none of this is going to make a great LinkedIn post, but this is what actually works for businesses in reality. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be putting out more content like this every single week. If you need help implementing any of this, there's a calendar booking link in the description below, so have a look there. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers.